And welcome back to episode 126 of the Weekly Tech Rant with me, Jay.
And me, Carl.
Coming from a very special location. Yes, this is live from Las Vegas. The audio quality probably isn't as good as we'd like to expect, but we are recording with a digital recorder.
I think this might be the first time we've done it together in the same room.
In how many years?
How many years?
It is.
So, coming live from Vegas.
Yeah, as we find ourselves both here on the west coast of the United States for a work reason is probably the best way to describe that one. So this week's episode will be slightly shorter than, our usual regular programming.
Yeah, I imagine so. And those special effects.
Not that I remember those anyway. But we're going to cover a couple of different stories this week. So we're going to talk a little bit about Elon Musk and Twitter again, as always, with, the ongoing saga. Obviously Microsoft as well with the Blizzard Activision acquisition and some of the updates around that. And probably a couple of stories around the Tech Rant rumour mill without the special effects, just to be clear on that, and Apple's rumoured new HomePod, which could come next year. But let's kick things off then a little bit with Twitter and Elon Musk. And, well, the fact that there's nobody steering the ship anymore, is there? I don't think at all.
No, I don't think so. And he's had another rap from the EU, hasn't he?
He has indeed, and this is around moderation because it was sort of stated the other week, wasn't it, that there was nobody moderating any of the tweets anymore, and you were at risk from scammers and basically anybody who wants to post anything, really, wasn't it?
Exactly. So they've kind of politely told him, you need to hire some actual staff to do this, which is. Yeah,
and given that the Twitter workforce was around 7,500 pre-acquisition, about half of those have now left either through
more than half. Is it down to like 2,000?
Well, I think they're massively down, isn't it? And most of that has been through his reorganisation and resource allocation work.
It's a polite way of saying it.
And I think some people have also just jumped and left because it's the only way to do it. But the moderation point with Twitter is a combination of the human element of moderation, people looking at tweets, checking tweets. Alongside machine learning capabilities to spot, I guess, algorithms, isn't it? And tweets that clearly are not, bots, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, and even just responding to user requests, because obviously you can flag a tweet, can't you, as inappropriate or report it, and I just don't think there's anyone on the other end actually doing anything with that report.
No, and unlike Meta, which employs human fact checkers to verify information, Twitter doesn't have any of that. A lot of self-verification goes on with tweets, isn't it? We've seen those little tags that says, I can't remember what the wording is, but around the community states that this is fake, basically. But now, obviously, the problem is that not having anybody now to moderate stuff is putting users at risk, and the EU is clearly unhappy about that going forward.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll see Twitter pull out the EU.
Along with every other company that wants to do any form of encryption.
There is that.
Given WhatsApp, Signal, Telegram, I don't know who's next, but yeah, that would probably be it. But this can't just be a EU problem, surely, though, because you've got things like the California privacy.
California will pull them up on it shortly, I imagine.
I don't know, but I guess what they can't do is they can't force Twitter to moderate, as in the sense they can't say this is how you will moderate the content. It has to be more a case of how are you going to moderate it? What's your approach, as opposed to this is a framework, because I don't think there's any framework that exists, is there? There's no standardised framework of moderation.
No, it's an interesting one, and if Musk just goes, so I ain't going to do it, what's the repercussions of that?
Well, the repercussions of that is that the EU probably slaps him with a large fine. Well, I don't know. Maybe I can't say they've been banned in Europe, but it would be a case of, no trust in the service whatsoever. Perhaps you could see advertisers pulling out. You could see government officials moving away from using Twitter. We know because we see a lot of that already, don't we?
Yes, yeah.
Government. I say state sponsored, but that's not quite the right
That's the wrong thing.
But government entities who are on Twitter talk about things like, I saw this morning, funnily enough, we're here in Las Vegas. I saw that the White House account tweeted that Joe Biden's here in Las Vegas as well today.
Oh, is he?
I haven't seen Air Force One, just to be clear.
No, quick, look out the window.
Look out the window. Air Force One is on its way. It's definitely coming. But I don't know. Something's got to change. This is just another problem, isn't it? Another issue that compounds. It does. So then the other one obviously is, I guess, with Twitter, not just Musk unsure how to regulate it, self-regulation. We've said about the loss of staff. We've just had that. That we talked about. I think last time was the Icelandic guy.
Yes.
Who has now, I think, come to some agreement, isn't it, with Elon Musk around getting his job back at Twitter.
It was either that or they had to pay him off.
Well, yeah, they had to pay him
The
off.
lawyers were like, "There's a big bill to pay." if we fire him.
I don't know if you saw, but he released an album.
I did. Good? Bad timing?
Well, he did state that it wasn't meant to be. It was just he had planned to do that anyway, and it just was coincidental. But I did see that he tweeted saying that he had like over 2 million views on YouTube of his his first song. So fair play to the guy. Definitely. That's all I can say, isn't it? Right then, so what else have we got on the docket then? We talked about, we mentioned Microsoft. Microsoft, their charm offensive, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. So they've, in the last, 2 days?
Yeah, pretty much.
They've signed 2 new agreements for, guaranteeing Call of Duty on other platforms. But this time, I've never even heard of.
No, I mean, one of them's called, was it
Boosteroid?
Boosteroid, yeah, exactly. I mean, what the hell is Boosteroid? Because
Boosteroid, aren't they? Boosteroid. They're a cloud, like a white label cloud gaming platform, aren't they?
I thought, that's what I kind of had from the notes I made up on this. But they make it very clear. Never heard of them, like I say. Up until this announcement, didn't even know they existed. But turns out they've been around for about sort of 5 or so years.
Yep.
I think over 4 million
cloud gaming platform you've never heard of.
Exactly, over 4 million. Concurrent users across 9 European countries and 6 US states. I mean, but and it seems funny. You pay €7.5 a month to access the service.
I have to go look at this because I've never heard of it.
No, that's what I'm saying. And apparently, it works across pretty much everything: so phones, desktop OSs, including Linux, and even the old Android TVs.
Yeah. And the other one is Ubitus.
Yeah, well, that was the announcement, wasn't it? The other announcement, exactly the same sort of deal, wasn't it?
But they're quite big in helping publishers stream larger, more complex games to be able to play on the Switch.
Okay.
So they kind of do the cloud heavy lifting, the processing. So the Switch just has to worry about displaying the visuals and stuff. It doesn't have to worry too much about the calculations behind it. It's all done on this Ubitus platform.
Right. Okay, that makes a bit more sense then. Okay, so it's kind of like.
So Control is one of the games, and Resident Evil 7, Assassin's Creed Odyssey as well. All ones use heavy lifting.
So
in the
you
back end.
kind of need internet access only to be able to play the game. Then is that kind
how you get Call of Duty on Switch, isn't it?
Well, apparently, according to the British government, that doesn't work, does it?
No, it doesn't like that.
But this booster. I mean, this is a very. I'm gonna say, I know, call me cynical, but I'm gonna say this is a very clever ploy by Microsoft to appease the regulatory bodies and say, look. We want to play with everybody. We're happy to everything because these deals are very cleverly worded to state that they're going to sign basically deals on games on Game Pass, and then both of these statements have said at the end, haven't they? This will also
subject
to closing, but will include Activision Blizzard games, including COD.
Yeah, definitely. It's another push. As you said, to get the regulators. From what we're also hearing, that the EU is pretty much going to rubber stamp it. Yeah. Well, they've ticked a box. So now you've got these guys. You've already got the 10-year agreement with Nvidia for GeForce Now. We've got the Nintendo agreement as well, which has been signed to bring Call of Duty, which apparently, as we just said, doesn't work. But that's subject to the Switch 2, I think, coming out. Maybe.
And there was also an interesting point, I don't know if you saw it, that in the latest filing with the CMA, Microsoft also stated that any COD game, and I think just to quote this properly, in a Microsoft multi-game subscription is eligible for inclusion in Sony's multi-game subscription service at the same time and same duration. So basically what that reads is that if it's on Game Pass, it'll work on...
Which will be on day one.
And it'll be on Sony's...
but you're allowed to. Sony don't like doing that because they want people to buy the game first.
Yeah, but Microsoft for sure are going to say, well, hang on a minute, you've
got the option.
You have a cake and eat it. So you can't just say, no, we're not doing that. It has to be, here's the deal, take it or leave it.
Yeah, exactly.
But Sony, you're right. Sony are going to be like, oh, no.
Because they don't do any day one launches on their platform, do they?
No.
It's months and months later.
Yeah. It's like, no, we're not going to leave you that. You want the game, you're going to cough up the big bucks, 70 euros.
If you want to play it now, if you want to play it when no one else is playing it, then you can have free, for free-ish.
Whereas Microsoft's approach, as we know, is it's like, actually, we'll let everybody have it, and we'll reap the benefits of having, thousands of concurrent players on the platform in one go.
But then Sony can't afford to do that because, one, they don't have their own cloud.
Well, no, not to the same. No, you're right. So, they've got a cloud service, but
you guarantee they'll be. But they'll guarantee who's running that cloud service on the infrastructure. It's probably Azure, Google Cloud, or AWS, or a mixture of all three.
Well, they've got to be doing something. You're right, because that's where Microsoft is a cloud service provider.
So that offsets a lot of their infrastructure costs and streaming costs.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like we said before, it's almost like how did Stadia fail? Because Google have got all the underpinning infrastructure as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
And the problem is we're also seeing that with Luna, with Amazon, aren't we? It's not quite... But again, I don't think they are charging ahead with the same...
You need the game studios as well.
You've got to have a buy-in from both, exactly.
Well, Stadia, you were paying for the infrastructure, or paying to rent your infrastructure, then buying your games on top. And the same with Luna.
Yeah.
Whereas Microsoft is saying, well, we'll basically give you the infrastructure for free, and you're just paying for a rental on the game.
It's a loss lead, isn't it, basically? It
is.
And it is working.
I see it will go up. It's going to go up in price.
I think it will have to go up in price. The question that I keep asking is, when is the family plan coming? We know that's now launched in several countries now, not just Ireland and Colombia.
Not the UK, though.
No.
I got excited when I saw that announcement. Come to new countries, like, oh, brilliant. Oh, no, not the UK.
No, I mean...
or the US, is it?
Not yet, no, not that I'm aware of. And again, we're going to pay more for that than we would do from the standard Game Pass, but I am well happy to pay for that. What
do we pay for normal Game Pass now?
About £11 a month, give or take, isn't it? I think
I'd probably even pay £20 for a month for that anyway. Just single.
No. I mean, just to kind of take a step back about this acquisition when we think about it, everybody's kicking up a stink, aren't they, about Microsoft, buying up a huge chunk of the gaming industry.
Yeah.
But did anybody complain when Amazon bought MGM Studios?
No.
Is
it buying up, or do we just call it consolidation?
Or Disney buying Fox?
Disney's bought everyone.
Exactly. So if you look at
the movie industry, Disney owns pretty much everyone.
I'm just going to say exactly that point. Disney is a conglomerate now.
Yeah.
And if you think in that industry, owns pretty much, you say, the bulk of the studios,
the
bulk of the IP.
Yeah.
And now you've got Amazon as well, who bought MGM, and that catalogue, including James Bond, along with other services.
They've stuck it all in their streaming platform.
Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly that point. You've got the same issue now.
You need content if you get the streaming platform.
But is it because it's Microsoft? Is it like the kind of, this... You can't be saying... The evil of tech companies, isn't it?
You say it, if you look at Disney... They are not good guys. They're the Microsoft of the movie industry.
They have been known to be a little bit ruthless. That is
just
true.
A tad. They are very ruthless. It's business.
I still think this is going to go through. I think it's almost too big to fail. That's the issue now. There's too much riding on it.
I think the EU can rubber stamp it. We've sort of the CMA. So
but I think if the EU rubber stamps it and the US pushes it through, the CMA haven't got a leg to stand on. What are they going to do?
But that's what I don't understand. So if the EU say yeah and the US goes yeah and CMA goes no, does Microsoft just not do it, or do they just go and raise the middle finger to the CMA? What does the CMA actually do?
I don't understand that, because you're right.
I don't get this.
Did Microsoft then say, right then, if that's the case, then we can't offer any services in the UK?
Yeah, we're pulling out of the UK completely for all your services.
But they're not going to. It's not going to work.
Where's your consumer choice now?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Sony only. They're a monopoly.
No, and it's like, this whole vision of Sony, isn't it? It's this little underdog company
they're huge.
Is coming from nowhere to kind of fight the tyranny of the big tech company. No, stop.
They're a £100 billion company, aren't they?
Sony are, forget the gaming. They're not just games consoles they make. Sony make a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, they do,
and they make a lot of money as well. And have not, they're not some fly-by-night organisation that's been around for 30 years either, are they?
No,
they have a long pedigree of it. I think we need to kind of say ultimately there is this point of consumer choice, but at the end of the day, consumers will lose out regardless at some point. All the good things we've talked about, this is all about profit.
Of course it is. They're a business.
It is.
They're not a charity.
No. Despite
neither of them are.
Despite how it might look, but you're right. They're not.
100 games for $7.99
Yeah, I'm a charity. Oh dear. So, talk what else we got there. Oh, I tell you what, ChatGPT. So, ChatGPT 4 Neural Engine, that's a different thing. Language model, has just been released.
It has.
And I had
it was kind of released a little while ago. Under different guys.
I had a little bit of play with ChatGPT the last couple of days. Yeah. I got it to do some funny things with prompts, didn't I, this week?
You did, yeah. It's very clever.
And I noticed this morning that now, when it says at the bottom of the page when you log in, it says which model it's using, and it's using the model from March 13th. It now says GPT-4. It is a little bit quicker.
Yep.
I can't see myself yet any kind of nuanced changes. I'm assuming if I ask it something complex, we might see some differences there. I've seen a lot on Twitter already, people saying that there are some differences in responses you get from it depending on what you ask it.
Yeah, okay.
But the difference is, and I had a note here, I've got to look up my notes, at the size of the language model, right? Because I didn't realise how much goes into this, the model, the language itself.
Yeah.
Because it's not so. It's going to be counterintuitive, what it says. So it is the language. It gets bigger than. So ChatGPT 3 has 175 billion parameters.
Right.
No, sorry, I took the wrong way. The parameters have come down. That's right. It gets smaller and smarter. So ChatGPT 3. So we had ChatGPT 2. ChatGPT 3, ChatGPT in inverted commas, and number 4. So they're all the same AI models. They're all around the sizes. So ChatGPT 3, 175 billion parameters, as I said.
Right.
Okay. And it's up to a fixed point in time, wasn't it? So if you recall,
it was a year or so ago.
Yeah. So it can't. But effectively, it has a copy of the internet.
Yes, it knows most stuff apart from what's happened since then.
Yeah. So the difference is now the things that now they've it's improved some of the neural, I think, connections, how they've described it inside, the way it makes associations between the data sets, how it allows different tasks to understand. But the evolution of this is the thing I was working out, is that ChatGPT is not new. We know it's been around for a little while, but the leap we've just made already is quite scary.
It's thick and fast in the last couple of months, isn't it?
It is. Now, we said this before in kind of talking off air, as it were. The money that Microsoft have pumped into OpenAI has helped massively.
Yeah.
Because before that, you could gain access to the demo service, you could log in, and I think I told you a few times, I couldn't get back in, could I? It was like, no, this is too busy.
You need to wait. You're too busy.
Now, it's like instant on. There's hardly any pauses with it. They've obviously clearly increased their Azure
credits, spending,
but it just got me thinking around. We were talking about this thing, and the where we are at the moment. We can't say what we're doing, but there's a lot of talk around AI and ML models in adversaries, isn't there? The bad guys using AI. And you think, like ChatGPT, we've had to play with it. You can ask it to write scripts. You can ask it to write malware. You can ask it now. Obviously, you need to be able to validate that, but I've seen already people writing models to bring it into Slack. Not the official thing, but bring it into other conversational tools.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be long, is it, before this is going to be behind, creating malware.
Yeah, definitely.
Genuinely, not just this, I've written you 5 lines and there's an example.
Or running phishing campaigns.
Yeah, exactly, because it can it can write pretty convincing emails already.
Yeah.
You get a prompt, it spits you something out, you say, change this, change that.
Yeah.
Now imagine if you could write a script that talks to the ChatGPT model to customise those phishing emails every time, rather than the Carl, I am a Nigerian prince, or no, even better, I am part of the the IMF, and for some reason we've just said that you $50 million, write to the Director General. I mean, we all know they're terrible, and who the hell is falling for them?
There's obviously enough. There's a booming business going on.
But imagine if you could leverage the AI capabilities of ChatGPT to create an email that isn't necessarily tailored to you as an individual, but enough in there to make you
think they know you, scouring the internet, taking all the information that's already out there about you, and tailoring that response.
Yeah, that's the worry, I think, in that respect. But and I haven't asked it anything too, I guess, sophisticated yet. But you do see, you only have to do a little bit of googling or go on Twitter or whatever. You see some interesting responses with it.
You do,
But I guess that is it going to be though. I wonder. Like at the moment, like Google, you say about jobs and people like, can you Google it? You can answer it. The skill isn't necessarily Googling. The skill is interpreting the results that Google gives you.
Or constructing the query to go to Google.
Are we going to see the same with ChatGPT in that it becomes a tool and that isn't just you can ask it anything, but actually the skill becomes crafting that response to the query to get the output that you require from it.
I think it will do, yeah.
Yeah, that's I reckon that's where it's going as well. I need to do more with it. I mean, it's quite fun just getting to write movie scripts, and I asked the other day to give me a backstory on some call signs for a fictional pilot. I don't know. It was a very slow afternoon.
One too many beverages.
But on that point as well. But yeah, definitely the way forward. I did see the one thing, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in another episode. But one of Elon Musk's other companies, and obviously he's nothing to. Well, I think he has got an investment in OpenAI, hasn't he? I think I said that. But,
has he?
Or there's some connection, isn't there, with it? Maybe it's another model. But he has a company called Neuralink.
He does indeed.
Which, in a nutshell, effectively wants to implant
probes, electrodes,
probes in your brain.
Stuff in your brain, yeah.
Apparently, he's decided that after killing over 100 monkeys and other things, they're ready for human trials.
He's decided though, not the
regulators.
Not the regulators. That he's decided.
Yeah.
Is he going to be patient number one then? I'm guessing not.
It was a comment the other day, and I'm just trying to find the post here because there was some extension in there. It was like no way in hell, basically.
Yeah.
So here you are. That's it. That was it. So US regulators apparently have rejected this.
They've immediately slapped him down. Yeah.
But he apparently said that. On at least 4 times since 2019, Elon Musk has stated that Neuralink is going to be ready for human tests. Now, I don't know about you, but the thought of anybody sticking something in my brain,
let alone Elon Musk,
so the FDA have basically said it isn't happening, sunshine. But I did see, and again, takes with a view of verification, not fact checking. But there have been tens of deaths of monkeys.
There has,
I mean, science is never... Progression of science is never a smooth journey, is it?
No, it's not.
And I guess to test things, unfortunately, things will fail. But it's never a good sign to say that how many of creatures have died in the pursuit of...
Followed by, but we're going to try on humans next.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think one of the things I read in one of the quotes was that he says that he envisages humans becoming cyborgs to fight off sentient AI.
Right, what did he have in his coffee this morning?
I don't know, but interesting. But this isn't new though, Neuralink, because there's several other research labs that have managed to get amputees to control prosthetics, haven't they? The neural implants.
So he's trying to stick it actually in the brain rather than
on the brain,
a hat kind of thing that sits on top. Because you used to have to buy those bits for the PCs. I'm sure I've seen it.
Oh God, I remember
a hat thing, and you had to control the on-screen game using it.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, it's about picking up certain patterns in your brain, isn't it?
It is, but I guess it's a bit different when you've got a lump of metal in your head. What was that film? There's that...
Johnny Mnemonic?
Well, there is Johnny Mnemonic, obviously, with the data chip.
Yeah.
But there was another one, which was one that was a straight-to-streaming job, wasn't there, where the guy avenges his wife, who does it and has a chip in his brain and goes from being a paraplegic to fight on bad guys.
I don't remember that one.
Well, it was you that suggested it to me.
Was it?
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it, but same sort of thing. We'll think of that one another day. As I said, this week's show is going to be a slightly shorter one. So the one thing we just want to cover off before we wrap up today and say that is the Tech Rant Rumour Mill. I should have had... We need a little portable sound desk.
Where's the music man gone?
And this is the rumour that Apple could release a HomePod with a screen on it, a la
7-inch screen.
Yes, don't forget that number. A bit like the Amazon Echo, isn't it?
Yes, I was wondering, is it going to be like, say, the Echo, a squarish device with a screen, or is it going to be like a 7-inch round screen on top of your HomePod? Because there's already a multicoloured thing there.
Yeah, but that's not really a screen, though, is it? It's more.
No, but I was like, is that going to become a screen? But then viewing angles, it's on top. I don't think that'd really work. So you're right. Is it going to be like what's it called, the Amazon Echo or what's the Google's one? Nest.
The Home Hub, Nest Hub,
Nest Hub Max or whatever.
Yeah. Which I've got one of those. Nice little device actually. a little bit hampered at the minute, but I can't connect my email to it. That's another story.
That's not its fault.
No, that's not its fault. You're right. And Amazon, funnily enough, do that one that you and I were both interested in, which is basically a
15-inch one.
Basically a 15-inch monitor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That you could hang on the wall.
Yep.
But it has all of the...
Has all the Fire TV Stick stuff in it as well.
Yeah, and all the capabilities of like the Echo Home Hub or whatever they call it. So you can have reminders and other shopping lists and all that kind of good stuff on there. And I think we were both kind of looking at it, but the £220 price...
Yeah, I need it down to lower hundreds.
Yeah, to make it viable.
To make it an impulse purchase.
Yeah,
so come on, Amazon Day.
You and I both I can state with absolute confidence that the HomePod with a screen, whatever it might be called, will not be that cheap.
Oh no!
I remember called the home screen. Oh no, that's terrible.
And it won't be that competent either because it's Siri running it.
Yeah. So what's going to be on it? That's the other thing, because you're not going to run iOS on it. Is it going to run
tvOS?
Well, or is it going to run effectively Apple Home? You know, the HomeKit.
Well, yeah, I imagine it's going to be a hub for.
So it'll have Matter. It'll have Matter.
All that kind of stuff.
Thread support.
Screen.
But
could you go and play a movie on it or a game on it? Pass the time.
No.
Or browse the web on it.
I can see it having a very cut down interface, similar to like the iPod style. You know, maybe a music player on there. Talking of music, kind of related to this, did you see that Apple have finally announced the Apple Classical app?
I have, after buying that company 2 years ago or whatever it was.
Then it's going to be part of the. If you've got Apple Music, you're going to get it. You'll get access to it.
It's not an extra tier.
No, apparently not. Watch this space then. But yeah, so it's going to have. If it's going to have HomeKit support, you're going to want to have capabilities to control other applications, other devices.
Yeah, I mean, it appeals to me, okay, because I don't know about your Nest Hub Max thingy, whatever it's called. They're slow.
Yeah.
You interact with a screen and it's glacial.
It was a glorified clock.
Whilst Apple would, you're going to get a fast, interactive, responsive experience. I question how good the voice assistant will be.
Yeah.
Although I've heard rumours of the last couple of days that Apple are now looking to massively invest in AI stuff to make Siri better.
I mean, out of all the assistants,
it's the one is the shittest.
It is.
Sorry, my language. It's the rubbish one.
Yes, apologies for that.
Yeah.
It is terrible. We've talked about this before. With She Who Should Not Be Named of Jeff Bezos, is responsive, gives you things back, listens to most voices. It gives. Whereas, she that lives on an Apple device says things like, "You need to pull your phone up so I can give you the look up on the web." It's like,
I can't just read it to you. You're going to have to. No, I do use my voice because I'm driving a car. I can't pull up the screen.
No. And that's the thing. Sometimes it's like, where's the natural language processing going on? Where is the unstructured, responses that or queries that you give it? Because actually, that's what I want from an assistant, or even on devices. Is I want to say, ask it a question, and it gives you the response back.
See, I mean, I only use Apple's one for generally when I'm in a car. Call someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Send a message.
Yeah.
I might set a timer using it.
Exactly all I do with it
on my watch because I'm cooking or whatever. But generally, I'd actually use the Alexas for that one because I can set multiple timers and tell it to show it to me, and it actually brings up on the screen, or read back how long I've done timers.
Well, we know that the one that should not be mentioned, she can't handle multiple timers, can she? You can have multiple timers in the sense.
Yeah, but I can't tell me what's left on the timers. And it'll go, right, you've got one 10-minute timer with 4 minutes left.
Well, that's
one 20 with 15. No,
Well,
that's a simple thing to do.
Yeah, you're cooking a meal, right? Add 10 minutes to that. You want it to, and but it doesn't. We will get there, I guess.
Yeah.
And again, this, funny enough, this is where I kind of see things like that ChatGPT language model.
Put that in with Alexa, and
and giving it and be able to give you real articulated responses back.
But even with Alexa, she's much better than Apple's one. But still, I can't go. Right, can you set me a timer here and then turn on the lights in the kitchen?
No,
because that's two things together. I have to set me a timer, do that. Now turn on the lights in the kitchen.
You can't. You don't confuse it.
I should be able to do that, but you can't.
No, there's so much promise.
So I have to actually think about what I'm going to say, and it's not just natural.
That's what I'm saying. You're right. They say it's NLP, but it's not, is it?
No.
It's a very structured query that you are
telling it. And sometimes you have to think how to tell it the query, because if I say it the wrong way around, it doesn't understand it.
No.
And I was like, well, that's not naturally how I'd say it, but now I have to think about how I'm going to say it.
How do I articulate these words to make
it's like, oh, you know what, means just get the phone out and do it, yeah.
Exactly that. But I guess on the point of this HomePod with a screen, there was rumours from Bloomberg. Do you remember the talk about Apple releasing a HomeKit controller, like an iPad-style device? Remember?
Yeah. That
would go on the wall and have like temperature controls, lighting controls.
Maybe the two are the same.
I was just going to say, are we actually, these rumours, are they, like you say, the end product isn't a HomePod with a speaker?
No.
It is this home controller, which, again, isn't new. I mean, where we are at the moment in Vegas, I remember a couple of years, in fact, more than 5 years ago, staying in one of the hotels down the strip, the Aria. Very nice hotel, relatively modern, and they had an iPad-style device by the bedside, which you could take out of the controller, and it controlled the lighting, it controlled the blinds.
Someone in London, I've seen a hotel in London that did
similar
that.
thing.
Yeah, similar thing. The whole room had RGB lighting in it. I could do whatever colour I wanted. I could do the TV, or I could watch it on the pad itself, or just say I'm going to watch it on the TV. Very, very slick. I loved it. The only worry I worry about with the Apple one is the openness. So Alexa we use in our house. I don't have Alexa controlling all the smart stuff. She speaks directly to Home Assistant, and Home Assistant controls it. Because I can use Lambda functions and all that kind of stuff.
But this is where Matter and Thread should come into play a bit more, isn't it?
It should do, but what if you have a device that isn't that?
True.
Well, if I integrate with Home Assistant does Matter, Thread, Wi-Fi, RF control. It does everything, you know.
And if Apple were to release an iPad-style device, and it did things like FaceTime as well, well then are you cannibalising that feature set from an iPad?
Or is it very specific?
Or is it turning into, what's that device from Meta? Haven't the Meta got a similar communication?
I think they've stopped it now, haven't they? They've canned it.
But they did, didn't they?
Yeah, a friend of mine, you know him, we went out go-karting with him.
Yeah.
He's got one because he used it to speak to the family and stuff. But I think they've canned the service now.
They're kind of like...
Portal, that was it. Portal.
If you think those devices were kind of like, how do you replace the phone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the phone is dead. We're now into that kind of futuristic, Hollywood-esque of video calling through a little device, which I know FaceTime is here. Everybody on the
If I'm going to do another device, I want bigger than that. I've got a TV.
But that's the key.
Why can't I just have a... I don't want the camera all the time. I want the camera to pop up out of the TV when it's enabled.
I think there are a couple that do. I think Samsung...
there was a phase where they brought them out and then it seems to have disappeared again.
Yeah, it's a very...
Maybe again, you need it to integrate with multiple services, don't you? I need to be able to speak to someone on WhatsApp, on FaceTime.
That's the problem.
From one device.
This is it. There's no... Again, it comes back to
universal standard.
No, that's the problem. But... we went down a well-big tangent with that one, I tell you. But yeah, definitely. But before we move off the rumour mill, one of our favourite people for doing 3D renders, Ian Zelbo, did a lot of work with John Prosser.
Yes.
Apparently he's now working for 9 to 5 Man.
He is, yes. They made him an offer. He's now working there.
He's now their kind of in-house 3D modeller, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen with Prosser then. Who's he going to get his renders from?
I don't know, they're going to go downhill, I think.
All right, yeah, because that was the whole attraction for Prosser, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, he'd get a schematic, or
this guy.
And he'd get like a blurry image. You give it to Ian's elbow, and you'd be like, "Wow, that's like
magic.
Apple-esque," come out of it. But I saw that.
And I suppose it's a full-time it's a full-time job, isn't it?
It is, but fair play to the guy. He's exceptionally talented.
He is indeed. I wish I had half his skill on that.
Just an ounce would be good.
Yeah.
Well, that is probably a good place for us to wrap up this week's special recording. And again, apologies perhaps for the audio quality not being our usual sharp-esque sound quality. But we will be back next week for episode 127. I had to double check there what number we were on, where we will resume recording on our normal high quality. Back to Blighty and remote locations. We've got a few more stories to cover off next week, and of course a few of the up and coming things that we'll pick up between now and then. You can find us, of course, on Twitter at Weekly Tech Rant. We're also online at techrant.online, and of course wherever you get your podcasts from. With that, I've been Jay.
I've been Carl. Have a good day all.